Here we go. Hi, and thank you for explaining emotions really well. What is the survival function of sorrow after someone we love dies? And why is it so hard to overcome sorrow or heartbreak? Okay, well, I'll give you the first part first here. The sorrow side of things really is mourning the feelings that you had for that person when they were still alive. We do something very similar when we break up with someone as well. So one of the reasons why guys kind of get a little bit, well, they either feel jealousy, they feel sadness, they feel sorry. It's a whole panoply of emotions. There you go. That's your vocabulary word for today. Panoply of emotions, and usually it's because feelings like love, especially infatuation, have chemical signatures to them, biochemical signatures. So I'm gonna give you the nuts and bolts version here first, and then I'll explain the function as you asked. The functional side of it is this: is if you watch, I forget which fucking TED talk it was, but if you look at the science that is related to love is, people say it's oxytocin, it's this. It's a very complex chemical cocktail that can begin in the pituitary gland, for crying out loud. But the sort of the endorphin cocktail that you feel, that floods your system when you're feeling infatuation, when you're feeling sexual arousal, when you're feeling the good feelings of just seeing your partner. I mean, they've done fMRI scans for like when people see like pictures of their partner and how that affects their biochemistry. What happens is when guys are in that state, and they've been habituated to that state, and women too, by the way, are habituated to that state, they become accustomed to the drug that is created by seeing or interacting or being in love with or having sex with their partner. Okay, so when we look at love from a biochemical standpoint, I've read. I don't know how accurate this is. I'm not an endocrinologist. I don't play one on TV either, but it has a chemical signature that's very close to cocaine or heroin. And so when that person dies or that person is removed, it's now, and I'm going to go role of the behaviorist right now. You have essentially taken away a reward, and that reward is then the feelings of that reward are sought after that. So that can manifest in sadness. That can manifest in jealousy if the person leaves you. But one of the things that a lot of people, it's almost like a withdrawal. It's going through chemical withdrawal. And so what's the first thing an addict does when they go through withdrawal? They try to find a substitute, or they try to find some way to sort of reinstitute those good feelings somehow else, right? So what do guys do? They go get blackout drunk. That's the first impetus that guys do when they have a really bad breakup, is they go get fucked up, right? Because they're trying to reestablish the reward of what that biochemical rush was, right? So it's no longer gone. It's no longer there, and it's they try to find a substitute through novel behavior, or drug addiction, or whatever it is. You try to replace that good feeling with something else. And like I said, that's why guys go get, I'm going to forget about her. Let's go get drunk. Or else it's, what is it? The best way to get over a chick is to get under another one, right? Well, what are you trying to do? You're trying to recreate it's never as good as her. I'm sure you heard that, right? Because you're trying to recreate that biochemical rush you used to get as a result of the reward, anyways, as a result of that. So what happens though is, and I'll give you the behavioral side. This is a sort of operant conditioning, and something I know very well. When they put a rat in a box and it presses the lever and a little pellet comes out, right? It's behavior reward. Then what happens is intermittent reward. So you hit the lever a few times, and out, 3 times, it comes out. Okay, now it's 3 times. Okay, then it comes out every third time, then it comes out every eighth time, then it comes out every second time. And so it's like sort of this intermediate. You never know when it's going to come. So the mouth just like does one of these because it wants the reward as quick as it can get it, right? And then what happens is if you want to extinguish a behavior, you press the lever and nothing comes out. And it keeps pressing and nothing comes out. And you will see, I've seen the videos of these where the rat will just go, will stay in that same behavior and just like rattle it. Or then the rat will turn around 3 times and hit the lever. Or the rat will run back and forth across the thing, and then it'll come back and hit the lever. It'll do something else. I'll try all these novel behaviors to get that same reward to come back. And it's basically what's called an extinction burst. An extinction burst is when you remove the rewarding element from behaviorism and you get all these novel behaviors as a result of that. That's similar to what happens to especially guys, but when people are splitting up with each other, they try anything and everything. And so that extinction burst might be manifested in like, I'm going to go monk mode. Yeah, for half a day, right? I'm going to go focus only on my work, right? And then they just like intensely just focus on whatever their work is. Or I'm going to get back in the gym and I'm going to use this to motivate me to bigger gains, right? And maybe that works, but those are all manifestations of that same extinction burst. So, so what's the function behind sorrow? Well, I would say that it's definitely all emotion. Just think about this: all emotion map onto either reproduction or it maps onto survival. Okay, so sorrow is an emotion, just like happiness, just like anxiety, just like depression, just like anything else. Emotions are meant to drive you from one state into another state, into a survivable, more tenable state. So if you are depressed, it is meant to that depression is meant to drive you from an unsustainable place into a more sustainable place. It sucks. It's negative. It's not necessarily a reward, but it is your body and your mind telling you that you're presently in an unsustainable state and you need to get into another one. Same thing maps onto sorrow. And by the way, also maps onto happiness too. So if you're doing something that makes you feel good, feel happiness, it's probably because it's something that is beneficial to you either reproductively or survival. And was that it? I think that was it. Why is it so hard to overcome sorrow and heartbreak? Well, because again, you're addicted to that person, but also I've had, I don't know if you ever dealt with this before, but I've had guys who have hit me up saying, Rollo, my girlfriend or my wife or whatever of however many years is banging another guy. And I can't believe she's banging another guy. She told me she loved me. Or, man, I can't believe she's giving up that ass to that guy. And and she never did that with me. Like, I can't believe she's like this. She's so much more sexual with him than she is with me. And a lot of the times that's because it's reproduction is what it is. It's like wants to reproduce with this guy and not with you. And the realization of that is really what the cause of your stress is. But one of the things I get is it's been a year since we broke up and I still have dreams about her. I still can't stand the imagining or the dreaming or whatever it is of her fucking another guy. Like that's what kills these guys the most is the imagining their girlfriend or their wife with another dude. And again, the reason for that is because it's reproduction, right? The guy she's with, she wants to have sex with and she wants to reproduce with, not you. And that's some hard shit. And the reason why you still dream about her is because you haven't resolved that yet. You haven't come to terms with that yet. You haven't gotten under 50 other girls yet. You haven't drank it away yet. Whatever it is, you haven't done anything there. And I have probably the single most common question I get from guys is, how do I get my girlfriend back? How do I get my wife back? I don't want to break up with my wife. I don't want to divorce my wife. How do I get the sex back? Like, how do I get her to want to fuck me again? All right. Maybe we hold that for another podcast at some point, but the actual questioning, the reason why it's so common is because this is what these guys fixate upon. and they haven't been able to find their way. Like one of the, as again, the sorrow, the envy, the jealousy, the dreams that you have, all of those things that led up to you breaking up with that person and that person getting with someone else. I can't believe she got with some guy so quickly. Yeah, because she saw you as a beta, and the guy that she's with, she sees as an alpha. That's how she got over you so quickly. Women who break up with a guy who they consider alpha, which they almost never do, but if they break up with a guy who is alpha, or that guy happens to die for some reason, that woman has a real tough time getting over him. But she doesn't have a problem getting over you because she never saw you as alpha in the first place. So people have always asked me the difference between like the war brides dynamic and the alpha widow dynamic, and don't those two conflict? No, they actually don't. If you look at like the war brides dynamic is why do women get over breakup? They ask me, why do women get over breakups faster than guys? Well, because from an evolutionary perspective, they had to, because they were taken as prizes of war. They were kill all the men folk, but take the young unspoiled virgins and add them to your tribe. So saith the Lord, right? And so what happens is they get integrated into the other tribe, and the girls and the females that didn't have a problem with Stockholm syndrome or didn't have a problem with reintegrating into another tribe, they went on, reproduced, and had more babies. The women who couldn't died. Simple as that. And so you have examples of like, remember in colonial America when Indian tribes would take a white woman as a prisoner, right? The white women didn't want to leave the tribe because they liked being where they were at. You would call it Stockholm syndrome right now, but there are literally hundreds of accounts of women who were taken as prisoners by Indian tribes during that time period, who didn't want to go back with their white colonizer. They didn't want to go back home. They wanted to stay with that tribe. Why is that? Well, because they had already reintegrated and had feelings for, and were already developed into what they were for those tribes. So, so that's the war brides dynamic. How does that integrate into the alpha widow dynamic? Is that if you weren't alpha in the first place, she's not going to be a widow. So if you weren't alpha enough, and usually the alphas are the ones, like if you had been killed, as I said, the demonstrating higher value back then was killing another guy, right? So the guy who kills the other guy is the alpha in that sense. So if that's the guy that takes her as a prisoner, then he replaces the previous guy that was there. So that today, now let's relate that into modern times. That's how women can get over you faster than you can get over her, because you have this level of investment in this woman that didn't pan out for you. That's why you still keep dreaming about her. That's why you still have her like sort of in the back of your mind all the time. And you can't stand the imagining of her being with that guy who she'll do sexual acrobatics with that she would never do with you, because she doesn't see you in the same way.